Hello guys, it's Randall with BitRaged. So I want to share with you guys some things that we're noticing with Bitcoin, some of the things on the news, and some things that you should be watching out for. Before we get started, I do want to mention a couple things. First of all, if you're not following us on Twitter, go ahead and do that. We will post some things on Twitter, maybe some charts here and there. We'll retweet things, maybe some news articles, that type of stuff. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and follow us there if you're not already. Secondly, there's something that I've noticed recently. There's a lot of YouTubers, and I'm not going to point out the names because a number of these guys, they seem like decent guys, and I don't have an interest in just destroying their reputation. So I'm going to say this as carefully as I can, but hopefully you'll know who I'm talking about. You can make a decision on your own. There are people that spend literally hours doing videos. Their charts are so completely cluttered that there is basically no way in the world you'd be able to understand that chart unless they told you what each little thing means. That is a really bad way to trade. It's a really bad way to draw a chart. A real trader, a successful trader, and this is not, I mean, there are people who are successful who do a number of different things, but the most successful traders trade on very simple charts with barely anything on the chart besides your price action, usually your volume, your channels, your trend lines, your support and resistance areas, which fit into your channels pretty well. And its market structure is basically what it boils down to. This is how successful people trade. And it's why it's successful is because I can post a chart. I can show you guys a chart with market structure. And you guys can easily, without me telling you anything, see what it means. You can tell me what it means without me telling you. Because it's simple. It's so simple that even if you're just starting out with cryptocurrency, you or trading or markets, and you don't have any understanding, you should easily be able to say, okay, I can kind of figure this out. When your chart is so completely cluttered that there is everything under the sun, there's 300 indicators, there's 600, clouds, and, it's raining. I mean, come on, guys. You can't really understand the market that way. That's not how it's not how successful traders work. So be very careful with people who clutter their charts that much. I mean, it just really scares me. Be careful of people who use Elliott Wave. I retweeted something on Twitter. There's this guy that uses Elliott Wave, and every couple of days his Elliott Wave lines move. The waves move. And Elliott Wave is very subjective. And a lot of people base on it. They're like, oh, we're going to, $1 million. There's no way to get that out of Elliott Wave. It's very subjective. And if you keep adjusting it, by the time it gets to a certain point, you'll have adjusted each wave to fit perfectly. And people who just come on the scene, they're like, wow, you predicted all that? No. They just drew it as the price action moved. So Elliott Wave is very subjective. I would encourage you to avoid people who use that actively because they probably don't actually trade successfully. And those of you who are watching our videos and you trade Forex or other markets, you know exactly what we're talking about. Most successful people trade with market structure. That's the most successful way to trade. Now, that isn't to say that you don't use indicators. Indicators are very powerful. They can tell you a lot that you can trade off of them, but they should not be your sole way of trading. So I want to get that off my chest. I'm here on GDAX, and I just want to show you guys, I have been making some trades in this market, so I do want to be careful how I say this, but you can make money trading in a market like this. Okay, I am going to blur some of this out for privacy reasons, but I do want to let you know I'm not in a trade right now and haven't made a trade on GDX for 24 hours for Bitcoin. I'm not talking about any other cryptocurrency or any other exchanges, but on GDX for Bitcoin, in the last 24 hours, I have not opened or closed a trade. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so the market is setting up for something big, I believe. I'd mentioned on Twitter something called the tsunami effect, and I think I was misunderstood. People thought I was talking about a tsunami, but the tsunami effect is more complex than that. When you have a tsunami, sometimes you will have where it actually sucks the water off the beaches. It sucks it under, which creates a giant wave. You've probably all seen videos of this. Well, what often happens is people will notice this phenomenon, and it's like the peace before the storm. It's a beach that is usually very wet, now for miles, there's no water. And they'll walk out. Curiosity gets the best of them. They'll walk out. They'll take their lie detectors. They'll go exploring. And they're caught off guard. And the wave comes crashing in. They often do not survive. This is what I was talking about. There's a lot of people that are saying the wave is coming. The problem is there's going to be a point in time where people are going to stop saying that. And they're going to start saying, it looks like we are doing good now. It looks like we're turning this around. It's not such a bad thing. And that's when you have to be very careful, because that's when the wave is going to hit. And if you're caught in that position where you're out, exploring in the ocean, you're going to be in trouble. So I'd encourage you to be very careful how you place trades. Place it very wisely. If you're going to trade, you better be trading off from market structure. You better be trading off from watching the chart very carefully. I will tell you that how I am trading right now is off from looking at 5, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4-hour, and daily charts. But my trades, I'm getting in and getting out really fast right now. And I'm not taking the high-risk trades. So I'm making some, but right now, most of what's happening right now is actually people losing money. Okay. Most of the people right now are losing money. There's some interesting things that are coming to light. Some things that are not really new, but the news is starting to pick it up and talk about it. Today, this was published on Bloomberg. It's being tweeted on Twitter. It talks about Bitfinex. It talks about the issue with Wells Fargo and all that nonsense. It talks about there's issues with their banks. It talks about the issue with Tether, the impact of Tether. It talks about the subpoena by the U.S. CFTC. It talks about something interesting. They mentioned that Friedman was also subpoenaed with Bitfinex, which is quite interesting because if they were privy to fraud going on and they just walked away without reporting it, they could be subject to fines as well. They should have reported the issue, so they could actually be subject to fines. Most likely what's going to happen is they're just going to be subpoenaed for information. They're going to have to release the documents they do have, the information they do have, and potentially testify if they have information that's pertinent to a case. This is crucial right now because this information is just starting to come out. Something else that's interesting, the U.S. Justice Department has announced that it is initiating an investigation, a criminal investigation into manipulation of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So basically, if you don't see the handwriting on the wall, it is there and it's very clear. Now, people ask, well, how long, when is this going to happen? Well, they don't announce this type of stuff. They don't tell you, okay, well, on the 30th, we're going to be breaking down the doors at Bitfinex and taking them down. No, they don't announce these things. So when they announce when the Justice Department announces a criminal probe, it means that they've already been investigating it. It means that the U.S. regulating authorities, the U.S., the CFTC, the FBI, these organizations have already been investigating this. They already have evidence to support criminal activity in these markets. Now, to announce a probe means things are coming to a climax. It's going to come to a point where websites are going to be shut down, they're going to be seized, exchanges are going to go down. We don't know how many, but it's going to happen. It's important to understand that Backpage was under investigation for quite a while before the U.S. announced that they were investigating them. Then they announced it. They had quite a bit of evidence, but they were waiting because they wanted to catch specific high-end people that they believed were involved in child trafficking and illegal traffic and sale of drugs, as well as money laundering. So that's why it held it up for at least a year, potentially more than a year, but it was over a year. And they waited because they were waiting to get high-profile people. That's the reason why they're waiting now. And we don't know how long they're going to wait, but it doesn't look like it'll be long because things are coming to a climax. Things are building up. It's important to understand that the Justice Department has a lot of evidence themselves. They have evidence that they've produced, that they've received. There are several people who've given them extensive amounts of information, videos, proof of manipulation in the market. So again, they're not actually waiting right now for evidence. There's this misconception in a lot of people's minds that they're waiting for they just need a little bit more evidence and then they can put them away. No. They're waiting because they're trying to hook the biggest fish they can get. And the biggest fish is not Bitfinex. The biggest fish is not Phil Potter. Phil Potter is a pawn. And in fact, Phil Potter, there is rumors that he has left Bitfinex. There's rumors that the OKX CEO has resigned after they moved to Malta. These things don't just happen because, they just wake up one day and say, I think I'll try something new. No. They know what's coming down, and they want to get out to hopefully save their worthless hide. The problem is that these things are coming to a climax, and you need to understand, this is not just a situation where Bitcoin is going to go low and you can buy in and it's going to be a big money-making opportunity. This is a situation where potentially Bitcoin could go into a bearish channel for a while, okay? It's hard to say until it actually unfolds what's going to happen, but it's something we have to prepare for. There are some serious issues with Kraken right now. There's some rumors circulating regarding Kraken. We should be expecting to hear some announcements from Kraken within the next 2 days in regards to some of those rumors. I'm not at liberty to share what they are specifically, but look out for announcement from Kraken within the next 2 days regarding some of those rumors. It's kind of interesting. If you look at the history, the Winklevoss twins announced that they were working with the NASDAQ to use a technology that the NASDAQ uses to monitor the stock market for manipulation and illegal activity, to take that technology and use it in cryptocurrency. When this announcement came out, it could be circumstantial, but you could almost see a connection between that and activity with Tether and some other activity in the market, which almost seems like there was some fear in regards to parties that are involved in fraud in the cryptocurrency market. This technology, I believe, is a good idea. I believe it needs to happen. We need to have monitoring of the market, the cryptocurrency market. We need to be finding fraud and eliminating it, just like they do in Forex in the stock market. Things that get you in jail in the stock market or Forex should put you in jail in cryptocurrency as well. It should be the same. I posted this chart on Twitter, and at that time we hadn't come down to here, and it's actually played out pretty well. It's hit this line, it's tested it, and bounced off it. I drew this line here as well because it seems like that's an area that is bouncing off right now. We're kind of in this is a 1 hour channel that I've drawn, and this kind of seems to be the area that we're working in right now. And you'll often find that that's how these markets move. So they move in channels, and you'll test the upside or the downside, support and resistance areas. And sometimes you'll break out a little bit and then fall back. Sometimes you'll break out, you'll get clear indication, and you'll continue up. So you have to understand what to look for to see a true breakout versus a bull trap. And there's other factors that go into that, and also understanding where the market is at. The market right now is in a position where it's not ready for a bull run. So it would actually be better for us, and I've mentioned this multiple times and people ignore it. It would be better for us to let the market fall at this point than to try to keep propping it up. If we prop it up again, the more times we do that, the bigger the fall is going to be. So these are our Fibonacci retracement lines for our 1 hour areas. You'll notice that it is working in this area, which shows that it is responding to that point. You'll notice this area as well, definitely. So it validates that this is a accurate Fibonacci area. Now you can redraw these in multiple different ways based on different time points, but this is definitely one that is being respected. So yeah, you could say we dropped below it and then came back. You have to understand that it's not exact either as well. So it's not 74.04, it's an area, okay? So it's definitely responding to this area, and you'll see that it bounced off here, and it responds in this area, and it makes a retest. So the next time we drop, we should expect to actually see it test, bounce up a little bit, and then drop lower. That is what I'm expecting should probably happen. It's possible we will break through, hit this line, and then come back down. If we see Tether come back in to try to prop the market up, we could go up more. I do not anticipate that because a lot of eyes right now are looking at Tether, and it seems like they're actually getting ready to exit. That just appears to be, in my opinion, what they're getting ready for. Okay, so this is our daily chart for Bitcoin, and there was somebody who commented and said that we should be using log. This is a issue that we've talked about in the past. So here you go. Here's a log chart, and you'll see that it's the same channel. So people overemphasize these areas, not because it's actually that important, but because they've heard it so many times that they believe, well, that must be the answer. Must be the little tidbit you're missing. Okay, so this is our channel. I think Joe had mentioned this previously. So if we zoom in here, you'll notice there are definite points of contact confirming this on both levels. It's confirming this is the channel we're in. Now you might say, well, isn't this a bullish channel? Does it look bullish? It doesn't look bullish, does it? And I know. Everyone wants it to be bullish, but we're not bullish. We haven't been bullish. Okay, so we bounced off. We are, you could consider this, it's close. It's not as close as these areas, but it's bouncing off that area still. So this is what we need to look at. We can still keep working in this area for longer. I do not anticipate that, but it is possible. We can still work around in this area for longer. I anticipate that sooner rather than later we are going to drop below this line. This is our Fibonacci level we mentioned on the hourly. You'll notice that it cuts right through this support zone. This one here. So these are valid areas to look, okay? It just gives you ideas. There are different levels. 7100, which is pretty much on this line, is a Fibonacci level for the greater time period, if you do a greater time period for Fibonacci. So that's something people have mentioned. It is a support area. It cuts right through here, but it's not strong enough to hold at this point. So I would anticipate that not holding very long. So it looks like right now we're setting up for another drop. We should see that happen fairly soon. But again, look for the tsunami effect. It could be devastating. So don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in the hype. Use rational, logical thinking, and keep your charts very simple, okay? They don't need to be cluttered with a bunch of nonsense. You can look at things like RSI, but it boils down to market structure is the most important thing to be watching. All right, guys, I know the video is a little bit longer, but there's a couple things I wanted to discuss. I'm going to try and get out shorter videos, just snippets for you guys here and there. It's something we're going to be working on. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter if you're not. Follow us here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Comment below and let us know what you're seeing, what you're noticing, if you see a news article or something we've missed, and let us know what you're thinking. Thanks so much for sharing our videos. We do really appreciate that, and we wish you guys the very best. Take care.